I'm sorry, Andrew Weissman, but if I recall correctly, in 2018, you were one of the people who helped write the Mueller report, and you all botched the hell out of that.
And never in my wildest dreams would I have thought we would be here. I thought we were better as a country.
Oh, yeah.
Like all these sites that have been around for creating videos and all that, like text stock videos, they're done.
But that's why Canva was one of the first to get into doing AI.
What is up, everybody? It's Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe Show, the home of Epic Conversations, and I'm the host of Epic Conversations. 2020 Best Podcast News Award winner, 2018 Innovation Award winner given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association. I also co-host and co-produce the only online show in the world for dads and fathers. It's sponsored by Dove Men Plus Care. And being part of that team since 2020, we've reached out directly and indirectly to over 300,000 dads, fathers, and male caregivers. I am also a featured contributor to a platform called Indie Soup Media, which is driven by our good friend, Dr. Tachi. And that is a platform that has about 27 now independent content creators. And I also sit on the advisory board. So check out replays. This is one of the places you can check out replays of this epic conversation called Primetime Saturday with Aisha and Lala. So let's get to it. So first things first, Polytrix. 45 says, quote, he's worked hand in hand with Black people.
Okay, so I didn't put imagination. Look, I didn't put on a whole lot of makeup tonight because some of our topics are going to be heavy. But this was just me. This was just I had like put on clown makeup because, dude, you tried to get the exonerated 5 executed even after DNA proved they were not guilty.
Yeah. And still stands by that today, guys.
It still stands by it. As does the victim in that case, unfortunately. But dude, still stands by this. You work hand in hand with Black people to give them a hand into jail. That's what I'm saying.
I don't even have any words for
redlining, dude. The redlining, the suits from the 70s and the 80s. From you, remember he wanted to have that housing, that Trump Tower have houses for low income people, but there had to be a colored entrance for the poor people in the back of the building. Dude,
no, he's never changed. He's always been that way from the very beginning. He's never, ever going to back down on anything that he says. We know how ridiculous he and we know that he lies constantly. And he honestly needs to be in a mental hospital because he's really that twisted. And I say that with all seriousness. There is something wrong with that man. And people are putting him on pedestals and anything that he says is gold. And it's so clear that he's such a liar and he's such a racist. And we are in trouble, America. We've been in trouble. But the fact that you even still want someone like that in office shows me that we are going all the way down to the county. You know how they say hit rock bottom? We ain't hit rock bottom yet.
And let me tell you something about those 4 guys that showed up in the same suits and the red ties. Let me tell you something. I looked at them on TV and was running away from the TV like they were Jehovah's Witnesses at my door. Because honestly, Donald Trump and the 4 treasons, up here looking like the Stepford Sons.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know what was wrong with them.
It's really quite sickening.
It's like, what are you? 5th grade, 5th grade, 6th grade girls? Shoot,
Yeah.
I haven't dressed the same as someone like that except when my daughter was 2. We had a matching outfit for a picture. But like that, deciding what we're going to wear. Me and my sisters, my mother used to dress the 3 of us in the same outfits in different colors, and I hated it. But no, we got to get that Trump black suit that's not quite black, but it's not quite gray either, and the red tie. And like Vivek, you aren't even part of the team.
No.
All those people there were at least in Congress. You just random stranger.
This has just been too much. I am literally at my wit's end with America. I'm really tired and exhausted from just reading the news or waking up with heaviness about something that is major that has gone on, or something that doesn't make any sense that should be in the headlines getting so much attention. And just the whole world. I mean, someone said to me she feels 2024 is the year of exposure. And I really feel that way. But the exposure is happening so fast and so quickly and so ugly that it will take its toll on you mentally.
Yeah, and you know, here's the thing too. We're going to talk about Joe Biden in a minute, and you know, people are like, oh, with the Trump wants people so badly to believe that Joe Biden is the problem and that Joe Biden has cognitive, like Lauren Boebert said, cognitive dissonance. Mind you, I don't even think she knows what cognitive dissonance is. Like I said, I have a master's degree in clinical psychology. Cognitive dissonance has absolutely nothing to do with you being able to understand cognitive things. Okay, anyway, aside from that point, people are all up in arms about, Joe Biden going to Morehouse and the speech he's going to give tomorrow. Mind you, he will not be the first president to give a speech at a HBCU. I recall, not my HBCU, but I recall in 1997, I went to my best friend's graduation, and Bill Clinton, 1997. Okay, Bill Clinton gave the commencement address, knowing full well that the Monica Lewinsky stuff was about to pop off. Okay, and nothing he said was political. Knowing, and nothing he said was political. It was about the future. Now, Donald Trump talks about a future that is Handmaid's Tale future. It is a future. Yes. It is a future that is dark. It is a future that it's about as bad as this rainy day outside my window, right?
But they keep acting like but here's the thing. They're telling us like this is not a hidden agenda. None of this.
No.
Okay, so let me ask, can either of you come up with reasons why an African American would vote for 45?
Outside of knowing just how evil he is, you should never want any of that in there. Listen, I've said it before and I'm going to say it again. I don't like the choices that we have. I don't. But these are the choices that we have. And if I choose not to vote, then I've made a choice. Right. So I'm still going to have to vote the way my heart tells me, because honestly, there is nothing good about 45. That he doesn't even see anything in the world other than for himself and his family and what he can gain from it. And nothing is going to stop him from obtaining absolute power if he gets up there. He is going to make it a point to never let you elect anyone else again. He's going straight dictatorship.
Yeah.
If that doesn't scare the shit out of you already, then I really can't convince you of anything else.
Right. And I think the Black people that vote for him are trying harder than anything to be bigger fish in a little big fish in a little pond, because you got to remember the Republican majority is shrinking. It's ever shrinking, but the number of Black people who have power or wield power in the Republican majority, Republican minority, is, the things that you have to do, the racial gymnastics of hatred that you have to do in order to just get platformed by these people. I mean, we talked about the guy in North Carolina. We talked about Candace Owens. We talked about Byron Donalds, who reminds me of this guy that we went to school with. We used to call Stank Hank. But anyway, anyway, every time I see him, I think Stank Hank. But you're not going to. Here's the thing. Eventually, all these people will want to come back home. Just like, what's his name? Whitlock. Jason Whitlock. Is it Jason Whitlock who effed around and found out the other day?
Yep.
When someone called him a DEI hire
Mm-hmm.
because he
Mm-hmm.
said because he spoke on something that was true. So Jason Whitlock, yeah, Jason Whitlock.
Jason Whitlock, yeah.
So here's the thing: eventually, those folks are going to want to come home, and guess what? We ain't home.
No.
Look, the doors are locked. The lights are off. The shades are down. We're gonna treat you just like we would treat those dudes in the black suits and red ties, like they were Jehovah's Witnesses at the door.
Yep. Yep.
Nobody's home. Nobody's home because guess
No.
what? We're black people at the point where there's no forgiveness anymore. Not
None.
the grift. We know the grift. We recognize the grift. There's no forgiveness.
They have actually brought it to the absolute positive point of them versus us. You always hear them saying, or always people say, oh, it's always them and us. No. Right now, it truly is a showdown between them and us. And as much as they can keep us fighting in the trenches, it keeps them in power. So as long as they can continue with this smokescreen and this garbage, and we continue to fall for it instead of standing up for what we truly believe in and taking our country back, because actually the power is in our hands. It's in our hands. So until we stop and we start seeing the true divisiveness that they have decided to throw upon us on everything, even if the sky is blue or purple or green, they have us fighting about that, then we have no power.
And let's be clear, Donald Trump is trying to get back into the house that was built by slave labor.
Yeah.
Let's not forget that. Can you put Fitnance IQ's comment on, because that is a comment that I think needs to be seen. She said, I've heard before that the reason they chose 45 because he did more for blacks than Obama did. Let me tell you something. And I love you, Fitnance. Thank you for tuning in every week, and you are so loyal. The person that started that rumor was Trump.
Yep. Yep.
He started
this. He does this.
He started it, and then these dumb folks continued to parrot it. Look, let me tell you something. What's her name? Spicy Ice, whatever that little girl's name is. Talking about, well, I got my Trump checks. The only reason you're calling it a Trump check is because Donald Trump insisted that he put his name on it. But guess what, baby girl? Guess what? If he didn't insist on putting a letter with it and signing it in that Sharpie marker like he was a 3-year-old toddler just learning how to write, you would have had it 6 weeks earlier, because Nancy Pelosi in the House
had it done.
Chuck Schumer in the Senate got it done.
Got it done.
So guess what?
You had to wait longer.
You were broke 6 weeks longer. And let's be very clear. You might have got you might have got your Trump check, but right now you're complaining about inflation. And you know why you're complaining about inflation? Because those 2 Trump checks, we're paying for them now.
Yes, we are.
Now.
It's all tied in. And like, don't forget, guys, even during this case with Stormy Daniels, it came out so clear that he is the creator of fake news. He worked with the National Enquirer to kill stories and to make up stories. So guess who is the ultimate creator of fake news? It is him. He put this out there.
They said for years that he was calling up using different voices and fake names to put out positive stories about himself, about how he was this great stud and great lover. I'm sorry. I tell my daughter this all the time, but you cannot tell that man he's not fine. He looks in the mirror and he sees something different than what the rest of us see. I'm sorry.
So he was having a very hard day when Stormy came out and was telling it all. She was not censoring anything. She said
he got SDE, she said.
All right. And JG Marr says the problem with the rumor was that the Democrats failed as usual in countering his claims. Pure communication.
Yes.
You hit that
Yes.
right on the head, JJ. That's exactly what it is. We have talked about it over and over how the Democrats don't know how to play this game. They need to get smart, they need to get wise, and they need to get themselves together, because what they're doing is failing in the fact that they're not even talking about any of the good that they've done.
Yes.
They're just so quiet like little mouses. I don't understand it.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about the things that Joe Biden has done for Black people, because I have to go find this piece, because remember, we have for the last month have heard people on this platform coming up to us in the comments saying, well, what has he done for Black people?
Yeah.
What has he done for Black people? What has he done for Black people? He hasn't done nothing for Black people. Well, guess what? I went and found out the stuff that he did do. And then I also found out the stuff that he wanted to do, promises made, promises that couldn't be kept because of who stood in the way. It was that mango madness orange fool.
Yes. Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
Every time.
But y'all want to act like you did something there. Okay.
Jen Myers has arrived. Hello, Jen Myers. What's going on?
It wouldn't be a show without her, right?
True.
That's right.
She hasn't missed, I don't think, Jen, since we started.
She's missed a few because she's been
Just a
sick.
few.
That's the only time.
Oh,
Jen
I don't
has
think
been
she's
showing
missed
up
more
since
than 10.
2017.
Yeah, she's been hardcore. She's number one. Oh, Fitness IQ Ken goes madness, mango madness fool. Bahaha. Regina's in the house. I think they should start taking the low road. I actually enjoyed Crockett's cracking on. We're gonna get to that. We're gonna get to that. We're gonna get to that, Regina. We're gonna get to that. We're gonna get to that. This is
Regina, you know, we was gonna have that on the show today.
I swear to God.
Okay, hold your energy. Hold your energy. Hold your energy. Okay. All right. So, why I knew someone was gonna break up the party. You're a party crasher, Regina. You're an official party crasher. All right. So we talked. So again, but it seems that a number of African Americans either going to support 45 or they're not going to vote at all.
Well, let me tell you something. Here's what Donald Trump has done for Black people. I'm going to be very clear, very honest, and very transparent. Not a thing.
Nope.
Wow.
But that's the truth. It's the truth.
Wow.
So y'all can waste your vote by voting third party and not voting for him or not voting period. But I refuse to waste my vote, because the one thing that and I want to mention this too, because guess what? Y'all are marching us forward into Project 2025 willingly, because one of the things I shared that I want to make sure to mention, it occurred to me because I forgot about it, was that the president of Malawi had somebody put in prison for making a meme, a video meme, TikTok video of him dancing.
Yes.
He sent them to prison because it offended him and it hurt his little tiny little feelings. Well, guess what? Trump is just that sensitive. And that's exactly what he wants to be able to do. And the fact that Mitt Romney, I'm sorry, let me be clear before I say this. Mitt Romney has no purview for giving presidential election advice to Joe Biden when he lost to Joe Biden.
Thank you.
On the ticket with Barack Obama.
Thank you.
Look, him or Trump have no purview for giving advice to Joe Biden on how to run a campaign when they both lost to this man. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
But Mitt Romney talking about, oh, well, if I was Joe Biden, I would have just pardoned him. Guess what? That's why you weren't elected president. And that's why your team didn't want to hurt your little feelings and tell you that you were losing by a landslide because you got clocked. Thinking that he won. He showed up with his little acceptance speech, and he lost by what was it? What 20, 30? Something like that.
Yeah.
He lost almost as bad as John McCain did.
Yeah. But at least John McCain had honor.
Because look, I don't even think John McCain voted for John McCain. With Sarah Palin on the ticket. If Nicole Wallace, who was running the campaign, couldn't vote that year, I seriously doubt John McCain. John McCain was looking at Barack Obama like, I think I might vote for him.
I know it.
I know Joe Biden. I know
him on the trail.
Look, I was in the Senate with both of them. I know them. I don't know that strange lady and her pregnant teenage daughter that we're trying to normalize.
That part.
Let's move forward. Oh, Regina is laughing and celebrating with the commentary going on. Okay, so we've talked about one side of the coin. Let's get to the other side of the coin. Has President Biden kept his campaign promises to Black Americans? The answer is complicated.
Yes.
Aisha?
Well, JJ Marsh says we get Hip Hop Day, Juneteenth, but no real domestic policy. Actually, if you could put the link up for the
article,
that particular article,
I'll get.
We actually got a lot more than what people think. The problem again is the messaging. We have a DNC that has had two really bad leaders in terms of how they spit out the narrative. But this article, it says it's a challenge, but here are the things that he did. And so one of the first things that they talked about in this piece is that one of the promises made was that he promised, mind you, he got a 6.3% unemployment rate. And a lot of the Black unemployment was 9.2%, which was above that national average. And what Joe Biden did was then he did another economic stimulus package of $1,400 checks to help bring that down. But he also opened up a whole lot of jobs with the rescue plan, right? And gave 7.2 million jobs plus an additional 4 million with the rescue plan. And the Black unemployment rate has lowered to the lowest it's ever been under Joe Biden. The national unemployment rate is 3.9%. We went from a 9.2% unemployment, Black unemployment under Trump and other presidents. Under Joe Biden, it went down to 5.6%. So while it's still higher than the national average, it's lower than what it was. And so we can't say that is something that hasn't been done for Black people, okay? Because he specifically made sure that a lot of those jobs, particularly those recovery rescue jobs and the CHIPS Act. Don't forget the CHIPS Act. And those jobs went to minority serving communities, okay? Specifically Black and brown communities. And there's some other things that he did too, like the climate change and recognizing that there is climate injustice, particularly in our communities. We're talking about let's not forget the Flint water crisis, the water crisis in Jackson, Mississippi. Remember, the governor decided he was going to take over the thing from the mayor so that he could keep Black people in Jackson still struggling for water. Okay. Yes. But we don't want to talk about that, right? But what Joe Biden did was that he tried to increase the number of climate-friendly jobs. He put forth a $2 trillion plan that would help do that would improve water systems in places like Jackson, in Flint. And guess what? That $2 trillion package never got approved in the House because of the Republicans.
Thank you.
Let's be very clear. The people in Flint still have poor water. The people in Jackson still have crappy water because Republicans don't want them to be healthy. Okay?
No.
So I encourage you to read this piece. It's in Capital B News, and they list point by point all the promises he made that were going to help the Black population specifically, and what his progress has been, but also what the roadblocks are. And what you're going to find out is that those roadblocks got MAGA written all over them.
Yep. They will not let anything pass, guys. I mean, they just won't. Everything
like Lala said, they don't want us to have a thing.
Right. Right. Exactly. That's the truth, though.
Yeah, we haven't had one of those in a long time.
I know, but I need one today because they are really making. I mean, I just can't.
Please read it, JJ Mars. Please read that, and then Dr. Vibe can also give you the link to the actual report that reflects on what Trump says he did for Black people versus what he actually did. And I think having those two things, and that's why I want to have this conversation. These were
Yeah.
actually my topics, but I want to juxtapose those two things so that people can really look. If you're talking about what has so and so did for Black people compared to this person, and what has this person done for Black people, we got two choices in this presidential election. Yeah. That's it. These are the two choices. It's not going to happen. There's nobody that's going to come in and sweep. There's no Superman here. Okay, no. It's Joe Biden and it's Donald Trump. So now, as Black folks, we need to decide who has done more in terms of helping us grow and build our economic wealth, our social wealth, our political strength and political power.
Yes.
Put those two records side by side and then make your decision.
Wow.
Aisha slammed it.
Yeah. Anything to add, Lala? Anything to add?
Just don't believe the hype, because the narrative is that they want you to continue to think that he's not doing anything. When also, don't forget, he had to get in there and undo a lot of things that Trump had put into place and start putting things back in order of the chaos that he made. So we don't hear, and nor do we see, a lot of the things that happen behind the scenes, as we're not supposed to see a lot of things that are behind the scenes. But automatically and immediately, our relationship with the rest of the world had a deep breath sigh when Biden was put back into the office, because no one could deal with Trump. Trump was never there for any kind of working together. It was always, what can you get? What can you give me? And what can you give my family? Daughter and son-in-law making billions now from Saudi Arabia. So don't believe the hype. But do your own research. The article that Aisha has provided for us today really does outline a lot of the things that are being done. But then the things that you feel are not being done, I completely urge you to see why they were not done.
And who
you're going to find the same answer every time.
Yeah, and you know, the last thing I will say actually about this is that we're going to talk about it later, but the main reason why you're not getting the things that you think that Black people should get is that we call Congress.
Yes, and it's a nightmare.
It has absolutely nothing to do with Joe Biden. It's Congress. It's the kindergarten Congress, okay?
Kindergarten Congress. She nailed it.
Regina says she's dog tired. Many 20-year-olds running around in my house this weekend, taking a chill session with y'all. She says, nobody cares about facts, though. High inflation is the biggest issue. We're back to 1992, fallacies of an emotional argument.
Yes. And that whole thing is that, remember, not only that, but remember, $700 billion went to tax cuts for the rich. We're paying for it. That is with a B. Right. We're paying for it now. Because remember, I think this is one thing that I need to remind our viewers of, but I want American people to know this. I want Black people to know this. When they sign a law into effect in Congress, it has a start date. It also has an end date that it needs to be recertified. The start date is never immediately. The start date can be as little as 6 months out. It can be as far as 2 years out. Guess what the payback on Trump's tax cuts for the rich? Guess when that payback started?
Immediately.
2021. And guess who was president at that point?
See, but they never want to see that.
Joe Biden. And so people are blaming Joe Biden for the thing that we're having to pay for because something that Trump signed in 2017. Okay, but you know,
but that's also with every presidency too, guys. I mean, we're talking about now and currently.
That's just how Congress works.
Many times people blame the current administration for things that was done in the previous administration, not understanding that it wasn't the current administration's issue at all. And I don't understand why they don't understand that. I mean,
No,
to
they
me,
don't understand that. The other part that they don't understand too is that, your state legislatures only have a part-time legislative session. So January to June, that is the only time. And I also put this in our Discord group for you all to check out, because I found an article in my state that said that most of the bills that would have helped Black people, poor people, people of color, women, ended up dying in committee. Never even got to the floor because they never even got out of
wouldn't even
committee.
talk about it.
Never even got out of committee. And I'm like, what the hell were you all doing all this time? But you got to remember, in state legislatures, the majority of the bills die in committee. Now, if that happens in state legislatures, think about the federal government.
Yeah.
Look, we're going to talk about what happened in this meeting and why they had that meeting in the first place. But they spent all Thursday on stuff having to do with impeachments of people in the Biden administration, not anything having to do with reducing the debt or inflation or anything. They have wasted a whole session trying to impeach Joe Biden and got nothing done. At least Democrats can walk and chew gum at the same time. They can impeach Donald Trump and pass a healthcare bill at the same time. I mean,
and they're trying to even give him a medal. What are they trying to give Trump a medal?
They want to give him a congressional medal.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
we'll talk about that after, because a couple of people got dropped on the head. I may have gotten kicked in the head, but
all right. JJ Mar says, I'll read it. For those who are watching on replay on most platforms, I have sent the link for both articles about achievements of Biden and then what has 45 done for African Americans. So the links are there. Look in your comments section. I've sent the links for both conversation pieces. Next up, we've got, Sylvia asks, why is there a need to prove that the Republican Party in 45 when it's right?
I guess they're jokes right in front of when it's right in our faces. Exactly, Sylvia. I ask myself.
Yeah, Sylvia, I'm on you with that one.
I ask myself that question every day. It's right there. It's right there. The fact that they canceled a vote in a meeting and rescheduled it for 8 p.m. so that they could go and show up to a courthouse and violate the gag order on Donald Trump's behalf tells you that these are very unserious people.
Yeah, it's all a big joke from them. All a huge joke.
And
look at Lauren Boebert and her sign of the cross. It wasn't even a cross. What is this?
She didn't even know what the cross was.
Wearing glasses doesn't make you smart, boo. Okay.
Oh, wow. Okay. Regina says, no brain worm to the rescue.
Unfortunately, no. And I really think
all right. We are going to do a TO. That's not Terrell Owens, but a timeout. That's another character, but that's another whole conversation in itself. We're going to take a break, and next, we'll do that when we come back. We'll come back. So we're going to take a little bit of a break, and then we are going into a heavy subject that if it may not be comfortable to everyone. So I'm going to warn you when we come back on that. So hold tight for 2 minutes.
And that's what I feel like. You feel like you're the Harriet Tubman of the mind.
I am.
I feel like I'm one of the Harriet Tubmans of intelligent Black people. Like, I want to liberate y'all from like being left behind and ignored and oblivion. No, really, the rappers get all the attention. You know, seriously, does anybody else feel this way? Like ignorant Black people, they'll be all up, getting all the headlines on the Shade Room.
Overly sexualized Black folks.
Over like the twerkers and the just people that don't always represent the best of us. The diversity. Like people like Dr. Vibe. Like everybody should know about people like Dr. Vibe. Dr.
Really
Vibe he's trying to do good work for Black people.
Dr. Vibe from Toronto. Good to see you, my brother. Dr. Vibe. Everybody follow Dr. Vibe. He has a great show. He's very good at what he does, and I have a lot of respect for him. The men who are also doing the same thing. I see Dr. Vibe in here. He's a great brother. Everybody should follow Dr. Vibe, by the way. He's a smart brother in Canada, and we need to follow smart people. So follow Dr. Vibe if you see him in the chat. And Dr. Vibe, say your name in the chat so people can see you. I want you to click on his name, and I want you to go follow him, please, because I want these men and women that are doing the right things to get the support they deserve. Hey, Dr. Vibe, how you doing, brother? Again, I like I always do. I gotta say, everybody should go follow Dr. Vibe. He's got a great show. Dr. Vibe, I know Dr. Vibe's got a kingdom because I see your channel. I see you pouring into that every day. Everybody should follow Dr. Vibe, by the way. Look him up, Dr. Vibe, Vibe. He's a great friend of me and my wife, and I love this guy. Okay, so let me hop into this. What's up, Dr. Vibe? How you doing? Everybody, if you see Dr. Vibe in the chat, everybody go follow the Dr. Vibe show. Dr. Vibe is a real smart brother and a good human being. I like the guy a lot, and he's very intelligent. And I think everyone should pay attention to what he's got going on. We got to shine the spotlight on the intelligent Black people out here that are really doing the good work. Don't just pay attention to the rappers and the celebrities. You know, a lot of these people are losers. Your true winners are your people in your community that are really having your back. Helping us to have stronger families and a stronger community. So Dr. Vibe is in that category. So you might see the Dr. Vibe show in this chat. If you see him, please go follow him. Okay. All right. So anyway.
All right. We are back broadcasting live on May 18th, Primetime Saturday with Aisha K and Lala. All right. So before we get into this next conversation piece, this may trigger some people. So warning ahead of time, if this is uncomfortable, please feel free to back away from your screen, or if you're listening to this, back away from it. We understand, but it is an important topic that we're going to be chatting about, and it needs to be chatted about. So this one, Sean Diddy Combs video came out showing him physically assaulting Cassie Ventura in 2016. And the surveillance video was obtained by CNN, which is it. There's a lot of variables to this story, but I'm going to let the ladies, I want you to chime in first on this.
Well, I had an extremely hard time watching that video. I physically got ill. What he did, there is no alleging, that is him, to that woman was the most disgusting, vile, animalistic thing that anyone can do to another human. And people have been telling us this for years, but it keeps getting swept under the rug. He has a lot of people that protect him. The fact that this came out now when this was done 8 years ago is disgusting, that someone would actually take money to keep that video hidden. I also want to let people know that that hotel is no longer in business in LA. So a lot of people are concerned about why don't they get shut down? Well, they're already shut down. And I have a feeling that that is tied into this as well, because it's been said that it was $50,000 that was given to the person to keep this hidden. I still feel like there was much more and threats involved. This also gives much more credibility to the other things that he has been accused of and is being looked at by our government. But my thing is, why do you always put women on the back burner when they are telling you from the very beginning what is happening to them? You choose to look the other way. Personally, I have not been in a domestic abuse situation. I've been in a sexual abuse situation. But abuse is abuse. And secrets always come to light. There should never, ever be a time to have family secrets, to have secrets, to have secret pinky swear. Never when it comes to someone's safety and health and those who cannot help themselves. That's the only words that I can say, because I don't have anything else other that is any harsher than that. Then the fact is, believe women when they tell you, because it's happening. And it's always rooted in truth somewhere. You have to look for the truth and stop ignoring the cries for help. And that's all I have to say.
All right. I'll just, before Aisha gets on, Fitness IQ sends the video did shock me. Also says another one bites the dust, canceled. She also says, but as you said, Lala, 2024 is when things will be exposed. And she also says, Lala, didn't you know Black women need to stand by their abuser and bite their lips?
That's what we're taught. But everybody failed Cassie. Do you understand? Everybody failed Cassie, from her parents, her friends, our so-called friends, the industry, and anyone who said that they loved her and didn't support her and allowed it to continue to go on. The system failed. An abused woman is trapped. She's trapped in her own mind. She's trapped in her own body. And sometimes they can't escape it. Cassie was blessed to come away alive.
Yeah. Okay, so we're going to talk a lot because I actually have been in that situation. And I will never be rid of my abuser because we share a child. Actually, as a matter of fact, just 3 weeks ago, I had to see him at her graduation 2 weeks ago. People online keep saying, well, why didn't she leave? Do you know how many times women do try to leave those situations? I can tell you how many times I tried to leave, but the support wasn't there. And so the only stability I had was in that situation. It was the only thing that I knew that was consistent in my life. So I went back. But also too, when you try to leave, that is the most dangerous time. You are more likely to die trying to get out of these relationships. So when I saw that video, I can't describe the feeling that I had, because I saw what I was watching, but I was seeing it in my eyes because I've been Cassie, standing at that elevator like, oh, please let this elevator come before he comes out the door to get me. And I saw what he did to her. And, you know, in 2001, I can't tell you what we were fighting about. We fought about everything. But my daughter's father, I was trying to leave. He did drag me back from the door the same way Diddy dragged Cassie on the ground. I was like on the ground screaming, and he's dragging me back by my hair, threw me on the bed, stood up on the bed above me. I'm 5'2", he's 6'3". Stood up on the bed and jumped on my head, shoes and all, continuously, over and over again. I came away from that with a broken arm. He's broken fingers. He's broken toes. There was one time we were sitting in a car fighting about something. I had to go into a bank, and he was mad because the bank was about to close, and I didn't mention earlier I needed to go into the bank, and it started to snow in South Carolina. And people don't know how to drive in the snow in South Carolina. So I was trying to get out the car. Automatic locks, he locked the door. He had on steel-toed boots. He kicked me for about maybe 30 minutes or so. The next morning I woke up and I went in the bathroom, and I saw from my shoulder to my elbow, black and purple. From my hip to my knee, black and purple. I called my mom and I said, I need to come home to Connecticut. I need to come home. I couldn't tell her why. I'd seen domestic violence growing up, so I couldn't tell my mother why. I didn't want to tell her why. I was embarrassed. College degree, graduate degree. I'm embarrassed that I let my boyfriend do this to me, and I'm still here. Good job, everything, and I'm just embarrassed. So I go home. I didn't tell anyone. I'm wearing long sleeves. It's May. I got in the shower, got out the shower, was walking back to the bedroom at my mother's house, back to my old bedroom. And my mother saw the bruises from my shoulder to my knee. And I was so mad at her when she said this at the time. But I understand it now. But I was so mad. I wanted my mom to rescue me. I wanted her to say, come home, please don't go back. My mother said to me, when you've had enough, you'll leave.
Mm-hmm.
And I was so mad at her, I went back. Because I'm like, you're useless. You did nothing.
Mm-hmm.
But she actually did a whole lot, because the truth of the matter is that it wouldn't have mattered if my mother tried to save me at that time. I would have went back. I would have went back. I went back several times. Left, went back several times. And then I got pregnant. My daughter was born in Connecticut only because he thought I was lying to him about being pregnant. We left a doctor's appointment. The doctor didn't see anything on the ultrasound, but I was bleeding. And so the doctor thought that I was having a miscarriage, and told me I needed to keep my feet up and stay in bed until Monday, and he would check my blood again. He was on his way out to go cheat and had put his keys on top of my refrigerator in my apartment. Did not realize that he did that. He thought I took them so he couldn't cheat. The girl even had the nerve to call my apartment. But because he couldn't find the keys and he thought it was my fault, I'm standing up and I'm telling him, I don't have your keys. He pushed me and I fell backwards onto the floor on my back, newly pregnant, thinking I'm having a miscarriage anyway. And I immediately went to the emergency room. They told me I was fine, and that I was actually, no, your pregnancy's fine. I left. I'm like, no, I'm not losing this kid because this man's not going to beat this child out of me. I left. He followed me eventually when she was born. I tried to leave again. When my daughter was born, 2 weeks later, he was like, well, let's go back to South Carolina. We're going to be a family. The whole spiel that they always tell you. It got worse. And that last year, I got to a point where I'm like, you're not putting your hands on me anymore without me fighting back. And I started fighting back. There was one time when we were fighting. This is before that last year, but we were fighting, and he was hitting me, and I grabbed his tie. He had a bow tie. He used to wear bow ties. He wears bow ties a lot. He actually wore a bow tie to this graduation the other day, and I was so sick looking at it. But I grabbed the bow tie and pulled it tight, and could see that he was struggling to breathe. I just wanted him to let go of me, and he was struggling to breathe. And then the baby cried, so I let go of the bow tie. And I've always wondered to myself, what if she didn't cry? Would I have let go? But what made me say enough was enough. I mean, he's had us in the car with me and the baby in the car, my daughter in the car, in the garage with the car running. Like, oh, all three of us are gonna die. When I left, when I knew enough was enough, was he come to my house one day really late. He was supposed to visit my daughter. She was 3. We weren't seeing each other. He was supposed to come visit really late. And he was bringing me an insurance card for my daughter. I reached down. He threw it at me. The car window down, threw it at me. So I reached down into the window to get the card off the floor. And he floored the car so that the latter half of my body that was outside the car would have hit my mailbox, which was in the South, one of those brick fixtures. And he floored my car. And he turned into my driveway. I got out the window, walked up to my car, to my house, and he got out the car and started following me, just talking behind me. I said, please leave me alone. Please leave me alone. Please leave me alone. My walkway was lined with bricks, so I picked up a brick and I threw it at his car window. it bounced off. And then, of course, that made it worse because he just decided to make a joke of it. And I went in the house and he followed right behind me. I got a knife. He turned around and he was like, "Oh my God, what do you have a knife?" I knew I wasn't going to hurt him. I went and I just took the stuffing out of his seats in his car because I'm like, just go away. So he called the police on me. And he told the police that I had physically assaulted him and had been abusive for years. And that's when I knew that was when I knew. I called one of my friends and said, "I'm leaving my debit card under the mat here. You might have to come pick up Maya, but I'm definitely gonna need to be bailed out of jail because this cop is sitting in my face telling me I should be thankful that he called the police to stop me from doing something dangerous. I should be thankful." Meanwhile, and Dr. Vibe, you can show those pictures now. This is what was on my body.
Okay. Give me a second to get to that.
I actually allowed Dr. Vibe to show pictures of what was left on my body that time. Hopefully he can get it.
Hopefully I can. Give me a second here, screen.
But they are bruises. And one of those bruises that you see, actually several of those bruises that you see are actual fingerprints. Those are his fingerprints in my skin. His fingerprints in my skin. And if one of them I actually enlarged enough, you can actually see the spirals in his fingerprints in my bruise. So I hear what you're saying, JJ Mars, and that people better judgment is necessary when picking a mate. Let me tell you something. Men are very good at pretending to be something different than who they are. You don't always know who a person is until you don't know who a person is until they actually show you. And in the beginning of a relationship, people don't always show you. For example, I didn't know this until months later. We'd already been living in close proximity at this point. So there was that. I was afraid to leave my apartment. Let me tell you something. We've had a contentious relationship ever since. We've been co-parenting since 2005. Most of the parenting part has been left on my doorstep, and I don't mind it at all. But I'll tell you, when my daughter graduated and she was inviting her dad, she's like, "Well, I invited my dad." I was fine with it because her relationship with her father is her relationship with her father. It has nothing to do with me. My relationship with him is different. So I don't stand in the way of that. But I can tell you that when I saw him and he tried to hug me, first of all, he called my sisters by, and this is what abusers do. He called my sisters by their names. He called my mom by her name. When he said hi to me, he said, "Hi, miss." And then he tried to hug me and my body went so rigid. My sister saw it, my mother saw it. So I know that he felt it and I know that his mother saw it. I just didn't want my daughter to see it. And thankfully, when that happened, she was down with the rest of the graduates. But the tension that I felt, knowing I'm going to have grandchildren with this dude, and I'm still going to have to see him. I try very hard to not forget, but put a lot of what happened in the past. But I'm going to tell you something. I didn't start having seizures for no reason.
Well, Aisha, I didn't know before we came on live tonight that you would go in like this. I want to bless you first for sharing your experience with the audience. I want to bless you also for still being alive.
Yeah. And in the end, that was the main goal. And that was the thing that kept me going the whole time. I need to be alive to take care of my daughter because there was no one else who was going to. And I sure wasn't going to let him do to her what he did to me.
Wow. Wow. Lala,
I honestly, you never say that you would hurt someone, but I would have harmed him if he tried that. There was actually one time when we were back and forth, and we were at my dad. My daughter. He had my daughter over the weekend with his parents. Brought her back to my dad's house. I was at my dad's house, and he was just mad at me for no reason. I don't even know what he was mad about. We weren't even talking at that point. But I think that this was the point where he had gotten another woman pregnant and didn't want me to know about it. But he was mad, and he had taken the car seat out of his car with my baby in it and threw the car seat on the floor at my dad's house and walked out the door. Mama Bear kicked in and ran after him and jumped through the car window. And fists were flying. And at this point, I was really tiny at that point. I was like 120 pounds at that point. My dad is a big dude, 6'5", stocky. My uncle, who happened to drive up just as this was going on, 6'7", big built guy. It took both of them to pull me off of this man. And then he called my dad and said, I don't know, your daughter just went crazy. She all of a sudden hit me with this Muhammad Ali 1-2 punch combo. And oh my God, she lost her mind. Something's wrong with her. You need to put her in the hospital. And my father said to him, okay, hung up the phone and looked at me and said, you handled business. That was probably the only time I got from anyone in my life that I did what I needed to do in that situation.